All right, give me a mic check.
Mic check 1 2 1 2. We've done this before.
We've done this before. We have, man. So it shouldn't be too
Okay,
hard.
but listen, don't hate me, because it's definitely been over a year. But I still haven't watched the Shawshank Redemption.
Oh no, man.
I
Oh,
was
you
thinking
gotta see
about it. I was
that.
like,
Let's go ahead and begin and just see what happens. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Actuali podcast. And in this episode, I have my good friend Elijah, aka Heartbreak Jim. That's
hello
Journeys in
again.
Mind. And we spoke gosh, it was October of 21
Yeah,
that we spoke. So it's been over a year now. So
yeah,
how's life
definitely
been for
have
you,
a lot
brother?
to share.
Yeah, man, I know, right? Yeah, dude, I've written so much. I've made so much music in that time. What have you been up to?
If I'm being 1000% honest, I haven't been writing as much since the last time we spoke. But I definitely have a lot that I written before.
Hmm.
And I've been writing periodically between since the last time we spoke in 22. I just haven't wrote as much though.
Yeah.
But I still write, but I definitely feel myself feeling a bit of a burnout, a creative burnout,
Mm.
because I did like so much in a short span of time. So I've been taking it easy for the most part in 22, honestly. I definitely have things I'm sitting on that I want to release, but
Hmm.
yeah, that's pretty much it. I think I spoke on music last time that we
Yeah, we did talk a little bit about music too. Yeah, tell us about the musical side of your creative ventures.
All right, so I'm gonna be a formal introduction because I didn't do it formally last time.
Nice,
But
nice.
when I make music, I don't follow the same moniker of Heartbreak Jim. I
Yeah,
actually have a moniker HBJ.007.
dot double oh 007,
Yes,
HBJ, Heartbreak Jim 007.
yes. Now you might be asking, why the 007? I was always a fan of Goldeneye,
Yes,
007 on the Nintendo
dude.
64.
Yeah,
It had the awesome starting music and everything. I love that game. I really wish they
game
remade
was
it.
brilliant, man. Yeah,
You know, if you have an Xbox, they're supposed to be putting it on Game Pass sometime this year. So
no doubt. Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
I'm definitely looking forward to that.
I'm gonna have to get that,
But
man.
yeah, if you enjoyed the Nintendo 64, I'm almost certain you'll enjoy the Xbox version.
So is it upgraded like visuals or anything like that, or is it actually the old school, just an
I
emulation?
don't know that much intel on it. I just know that it's coming to Game Pass, and I just know that I can't wait for it.
Friggin' rad, dude! I can't wait. That's gonna be awesome,
But
man. I beat that
yeah,
game on like every difficulty level of every
always,
level,
and
plus
you
the
have to
bonus.
play the soundtrack on loud because it's such a good soundtrack
Actually is.
background. But
Yeah,
yeah,
man. Rare was on
Double O
fire back in
Seven,
the day.
007, James Bond. He's the golden eye, but I'm the golden ear. That's how I like to view myself. In regards to the music I make, I don't make like, I mean, I have occasional beats
Hmm.
that you can like rap on or sing on, but like, if you listen to my music, you'll see that it's much more than that.
Mm.
I have a tendency, I can make like a lot of things, but that's more so because a lot of things inspire me.
Mm.
So it's like, you might cross someone who's listening to my music and they're like, oh, it sounds like elevator music or um hotel lobby music. I like that type of music. So like when I make some of my tunes, it's inspired by that.
Oh,
So it's
dude,
like,
cool. So you do some ambient stuff just for like setting the mood kind of stuff.
yeah, like if you like putting on music and then cleaning your house, that's the type of music I make.
Love
Like
it,
I said, there's
man.
a few here and there that you can actually write to and like put lyrics to, but then
Hmm.
there's a few that's just there for, listening purposes.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
try to make a, sound for every type of occasion, whether you're studying or you're dancing or, you just want to get in you're feeling like a moody R&B mood or, you know, you feel like you want to write, I have a few of those too. It's just I have a little bit of everything.
Very cool, man. Do you do any like chill hop kind of stuff?
Yeah,
Is that kind of the vibe?
I definitely have a few of those. I didn't even say it, but I released 7 EPs since the last time we spoke.
That's
It's
insane, dude. So that's what you've been up to in 2022.
I mean, kind of sorta because I dropped uh two in 2022
Okay.
towards the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
I dropped seven. So I did volume 6 in February of last year, and I
Okay.
did volume 7 of March of last year, actually my birthday weekend.
Nice.
Yeah, I did 7 volumes because seven's my favorite number. I think we discussed that on the last podcast, but if not,
Yes.
seven's my favorite number.
Right on,
So
man. Yeah, three is mine.
yeah,
If I have to pick one. Yeah.
3 is a great number. You want to know something? I feel like odd numbers have such a negative connotation to them, but they're not as bad as people make them seem.
Right? Even the
Nothing's wrong
word
with the number
odd, you
3.
know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like nothing's wrong with being odd. I just feel like,
No, I
we're
like
so
that, man. Yeah.
yeah, we're conditioned to like not be odd and to be what
We want things to be
we're told to
square and
be.
to fit together, in some kind of
Exactly.
recognizable pattern. So we're used to things fitting into squares and boxes and rectangles. But hey, man, three gives you,
Yeah,
odd numbers give you cool shapes too.
what if I'm a rhombus? What if my sides
Right?
are slanted?
Yeah.
I'm not the same square that you want to box me in, but I still have the same shape.
Yeah. And we can build off of triangles too, like voxel style, which is really cool.
Yeah, if you put 3 triangles together, it makes a trapezoid, which is
Yeah.
four
Right.
sided.
Yeah. Trippy.
So yeah,
Trippy. This
the
universe is
mind
nuts,
works.
man.
The mind works in a very, very amazing way, to say
It
the
does
least.
though. It does. It does, man. So yeah, I remember one song of yours that I really liked, Another Morning. And I meant to actually have that done to share with you today, but it's not quite ready. But I'm going to share that with you.
Mhm.
Um, and with all of you listening, look forward to that and look up HBJ 007. That's dot 007, right? And you have your stuff on YouTube. Where else can we find your stuff?
I'm on YouTube. I am on Amazon. I'm on all streaming services. So Apple Music, Spotify,
Nice.
wherever you can find your music, I'm there.
Right
Another
on.
Morning is actually the first track on the HBJ Experience Volume 1. So it's the
Yes.
very first, it opens the whole entire experience. I have 7 experiences. It's the
Dude, I got
HBJ
to go through the
Experience.
rest of your stuff now, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
because I
lot.
remember
It's
that
a
song
lot
hooked
though.
me. It hooked me so much. I was like, oh, I want to write something to this. And so I did start writing something to it. And it's pretty close to being done. I just got to get down the actual delivery of it to where I'm happy with it. And then I can,
I definitely love
yeah.
to hear it because it
Yeah,
has a
man, I'm
very
excited to
chill,
share it with you.
monotone
I love your music,
morning
dude. It's
feel to
really
it.
chill. It's like super nice to relax to and listen, just groove to. Like you said, like you can clean your house, you can go on a long drive, and it's just great to zen out to.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Hell yeah, man.
That's what I aim for. So the fact that I am accomplishing that, mission accomplished.
Yes. Rad. Awesome. So I guess we'll probably rehash a few things that we went into before. Um, and we've probably talked on this before too. Like I believe that poetry can help save the world. I think it's one of those
Definitely.
essential things that we've been missing. It used to be a part of our worship. Like you look at the Gitas, like the Bhagavad Gita, and these ancient, super long, epic poems that were also imbued with deep spiritual revelation, deep insights and understandings of life, delivered in poetic and story form. And we just don't write like that anymore. In fact, like we used to all share poetry. We used to all have poems memorized. It was like one of the number one forms of entertainment we had. Once we had invented poetry, it just took off. And then like families would be sitting around the dinner table sharing poems when they visited. And that was normal. And I feel like it gives us a deeper consideration, deeper insight, understanding, thoughtfulness, inquisitiveness, appreciation of the little things. There's so much that poetry does for us that I think would be very great for humanity to embrace once again. And like, I guess we kind of do in some periphery ways, like with lyrics and songs that we like, we remember the lyrics. And so we do remember some poetry. It's
Hmm.
just not as big a part of our lives. But what brought you to poetry
Um,
and art in
if
general? I mean, writing, music, creation.
well, if I'm being honest, it starts with my dad.
Hmm.
My dad's an artist, not in the
Okay,
writing sense, at least that I know of, but definitely in the art sense of drawing. He's really
cool.
good at drawing. He's really good at painting. Um, when he used to take the train, he would like sketch other passengers on the train and give it to them. He even had like a portrait that he painted of me of when I was a child. So like, I definitely say
Wow.
that my arts come from my dad.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's a prolific writer if I ask him, because he's very articulate when he speaks.
Hmm.
But I give myself the credit when it comes to writing.
Well, you learned on your
uh,
own. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I've always been into art. If looking back, it was just never in the forefront of my life
Hmm.
until a couple of years ago.
Hmm.
But when I was younger, like I always said I wanted to be an author, so I wrote books as a kid. I still
Yeah.
have one of the first books I wrote when I was like 7.
Wow.
Um,
Wow, you're just like me, man. Because I was writing at that age too. As soon as I was in like first
listen,
grade and the teacher asked us to write a story, I was like, yes, I can do
the
this.
imagination is a great thing, and it is a terrible thing to waste.
Yeah,
Having a great imagination is an asset. It's a plus.
absolutely. Really is.
When you have like a wild imagination, when you can vividly picture things or formulate your thoughts into words, not everyone is capable of that.
No.
And that's something that I learn every day. Like, not everyone is capable of putting the same words together as you are,
Yep.
or able to express themselves vocally with their words as you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's a misconception among us as people,
Yeah.
because we expect that from everyone, but everyone is not like that.
No, everyone's
So
different.
it's like,
Yeah. It needs to be
exactly,
cultivated.
exactly.
Yeah.
Everyone is different. So it's like when you encounter different people, it's how will you react to it? How will you learn? How will you elevate what you already know and what
Mm-hmm.
you've learned and apply it to what's different than what you know? That
Yeah.
equates to growth, though,
Yeah.
in
And I
hindsight.
love that. Like as artists, we get to encourage that. We get to
Mm-hmm.
encourage that self-expression. Like I have this old saying, there's a hole in the world that only you can fill. No one else can and no one else will do what only you are uniquely designed for.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to make memes out of that. Um, but that idea that we all have something unique and special to share. We all have our own unique voice and experiences and how we're going to put together the words, like you said. And it's something that we can cultivate and that can grow richer and that we can become more skilled at as time goes on. But it's like a celebration of expression. And yeah, we all have that gift. And if you're not sharing it with the world, then there's a void in space. It's
Yeah.
like there's a void in the universe that's missing that part that only you can bring. So I really love to encourage that to people, and I love the chance we get as artists to
Mm-hmm.
help encourage that.
And that's another thing. I don't want to get too religious here, but there's a scripture in the Bible. I don't know the exact book. I don't know the exact chapter, but it was basically the focal point was having talents but not sharing it with the world and the consequences of that. It's like
Yes.
we were all put here for a particular purpose, and we all have different purposes,
Mm.
but it's on us to find our purpose. And when we find our purpose, it's not more so what we're doing with it, but it's how we're using our purpose to help others, how we're using
Yes.
our experiences to help others.
Yes, that's the calling. And yeah, I have no problem with getting religious or spiritual here either.
Mhm.
Um, the whole podcast, the title Actuali is about realizing what we really are.
Yeah.
And so that's not only in how the person individually gets to express themselves in the world in their own unique way, one's own authentic expression. That's one aspect of the actual I. But in mystic Christianity and Buddhism and in all of these other non-dualistic practices, non-dualistic basically meaning like oneness, recognizing
Mhm.
that there's really no separate duality. Everything is together, like the yin yang. It's in a circle. It's this one thing. So it's like temperature is hot and
Yeah.
cold.
We
There's
separated as people.
yes, that aspect of reality, let's say,
Mhm.
that it's non-dual, that there's this oneness, there's this ever ongoing, never-ending realization process that we can cultivate and realizing experientially, not just intellectually in our heads, but actually directly, we can experience a sense of oneness with everything and everyone around us. And we get shades of that experience in certain moments in life. And through service, through allowing ourselves to be a vessel for God's will, you could say, or for source, or for the great miracle of existence to shine through. Um, we find that our load gets lighter. We
Mhm.
find that we have a deep, true sense of purpose that is abiding, it's reliable, and it puts us in concert with the whole of reality. At least that's
Yeah.
what it feels like. And so even for the more atheistic or agnostic, I like to put this as the great mystery with
Mhm.
capitals to denote something potentially divine, even if they don't want to consider it divine. Um, we can still have
There's something
reverence.
out there.
There's
It
something,
has to be.
I sense that too. And I've had
Like it wasn't like
experiences.
there was one human that was like, I'm gonna do all of this. Like,
Right.
nah, it's too much. It's way too much for one person to. But that's another conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. But this whole universe, it's so vast and limitless that it takes something infinite and beyond our comprehension to create. And why not have a sense of wonder and reverence for that limitlessness, for that ineffability, that incomprehensibility of this universe? It's so great, it's beyond us. And
Mhm.
somehow it has birthed life and even self-reflective beings such as ourselves to be able to be aware through. And it's like literally when people think of like humans as a cancer to the earth, I get where they're coming from in that we see the damage that we can do to our environments. We see the pesticide runoff into the oceans and the microplastics, and we see that we can't drink our water anymore, and that we're destroying the topsoil, and through the massive agribusiness corporate farming approach.
Mhm.
And so we can see all of that, but I don't like the idea of self-hating, like hating ourselves as humans because we're earthlings. We're like extensions of Earth that have
Mhm.
become self-reflective, self-aware extensions of Earth. So I like to think of us as like her sensors. And it's not just Earth. I mean, it's the sun that has helped warm and grow and give light to this planet so that life could flourish. And we all, every single planet and every being on it is made up of atoms that were created in the furnaces of stars that exploded and then spread out into space, recoalesced and remassed, became planets like our own. And so we really are like the earthen expression of the cosmos, you could say, if we
Mhm.
want to detail it that way. And that's still a wonder and a mystery. Like nobody knows the answer as to why we're here. And so why not have a sense of reverence for that? And why not try and experience it directly through the
Isn't
arts
it
of
amazing
meditation and
though?
prayer? Yeah,
How
it's mind
like
blowing.
through all of these years, no one has been able to figure out.
How did this start?
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
or like,
Why are we
where do
here?
we go?
Where do we go after we die?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like there's just so much that's beyond our own understanding that it's like trying to make sense of it it give you a headache because it's like you make sense of one avenue, but then another door opens, and you're like, what's the
Yep.
answer to that? It's just a never-ending journey that no one has figured out yet. And while we're here, our time on Earth, we decide how we want to live, what we
Hmm.
want to follow, what we want to believe, and ultimately, that's what makes us different as people.
Yes. Yes. That's it. And that's like God, the universe, whatever one wants to call it, is getting to live all of these original experiences through each of us. So it's like playing out infinity. And that's
Mm-hmm.
why we, the whole universe expresses itself in this so many variant ways. That's why there is hot and cold and light and dark and up and down. You can't know happy without sad.
Yeah,
It's the bitterness
it's
of
a
life that
balance.
makes the sweet times sweeter. Yeah, and we need that to be able to, for existence to exist and to be able to
Yeah,
appreciate it. So
for
yeah, I
life
don't
to
think
be the
God ever made any
paradox it is.
mistakes. What's that?
For life to be the paradox that it is.
Yes. Yes. And it's a wonderful paradox. And
Mm-hmm.
we get to dance with it. And that's how we get to know it. Through its paradox, through the reciprocal dancing with reality, realizing that we are reality itself, that we are the cosmos itself, or just aspects of it that have come to self-awareness, come to life.
Mm-hmm.
And what a gift that is. And so I think the artists, in some way, maybe in an unspeakable way, we we recognize that deep beauty that is beyond words. And that's what we
Yeah.
spend our lives doing, is trying to find ways to express all of that infinite beauty in so many ways, with our words, with our paintings, with our music, with the ways that we live and treat each other, all of it. Speaking of,
Yeah,
is
you
that a
brought up.
painting that you did yourself there?
Oh, no, 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 no.
No, is
My
that a
friend,
friend?
I'm pretty sure he wouldn't want me saying his name on his podcast,
No
but
worries.
I'll
No
just
worries. It's
say
cool though.
KB. The initials right here. My good friend KB from high school painted this.
Cool deal, man.
I actually
Nice.
have three of his paintings around my house.
Right
One of
on.
my favorite artists.
Neat. Nice, man.
Yeah, we go way back, like track team, high school, way back.
Oh, dude, cool. You were in track. I was in track too.
Were you a distance runner or like a
I was
sprinter?
both. Well, I was mostly distance. So I did cross country. I did it all year round. So I did indoor track, outdoor track, and then
Mm-hmm.
cross country. And I did that for a couple years in high school. And I wasn't a great sprinter. So even in track, I would be doing like the 400, like the 4x4, or I'd be
Mm-hmm.
doing the 800. I'd be doing races like that in track. And then, of course, cross country is friggin' 5 mile runs.
Yeah,
But
that
yeah,
was never me. I was never the distance guy. In high school, I was like maybe between 5'8" and 5'10". My coach
yeah.
was always encouraging me to, do mid distance and long distance runs, and I never listened to it. If I'm being honest, and now that I'm older, I was lazy. I was like, I don't want to run that distance. Why do
Dude,
I
I
want to
don't
run
blame you.
around the whole track when I could run half of it? But looking back, I was taller than a lot of people, so my stride definitely would have helped me. But
Yeah.
my laziness definitely like took over. I was definitely like a sprinter, a mid distance runner.
Hmm.
Sometimes my coach would force me to do like 4x4s, and I hated it. I hated it
It's brutal,
so
man.
bad,
Dude, it's
so
brutal, especially a 400, because that's one of those where, so with the 800, you're like under your sprint level. You're at a high pace, but it's under
yeah.
sprint level. When you do a 400, you're pretty much at your sprint level that entire friggin' race around that whole trap. That's so hard to hold, and then still have a little bit of extra juice at the end. It's
Yeah,
a
it's
brutal
like you
race,
got to
man.
pace yourself for 200 and then kind of sprint for like 200.
Yeah,
And then I know I said 400 already, but you still got to give like that extra boost when you hit
yeah. For
380
that
to
that
make sure
last
you hit
50, that
first.
last 100, yeah. Yeah, man, I don't know how I got into it. I loved it though. It's like a love-hate relationship. Like cross
Mm-hmm.
country, at the end of every single day of practice, I would just feel nauseous.
I could imagine because that's the longest running out of all of it.
Yeah. So well, before we take our break here, let's jump into creativity.
Mhm.
So what is your creative process? Like, how do you get
Uh,
going? Like, do you just have an idea and then you jot something down and work on it later, or do you go right into it then? And what are the kinds of things you like to do to juice yourself up and get into it?
well, my creative process has changed a bit since the last time we spoke.
Hmm.
Because when we last spoke, I still draw inspiration the same way. Excuse me. So it's like I'll draw inspiration from a conversation. I'll draw
Hmm.
inspiration from some lyrics from a song I'm listening to. I'm a big music guy. And 94% of the time, you'll catch me with earphones in my ear because I'm always listening to music. Music is
Nice.
one of the greatest creations in this planet. But anyway,
Isn't it, dude?
I,
Man, it just changes
yeah,
your mood. It changes your day.
there's literally a song for everything you're feeling.
Right.
Any emotion you're feeling, somebody made a song for it. And that
Yeah.
is the beauty of music
Yeah. And
because
nothing
it's
can
like,
express emotionality as deeply as music, it feels like. Nothing gets as
exactly,
close. Yeah.
exactly. Because you're pouring your heart out when you make your music,
Hmm.
whether it's with words or without words. Because even without words, like if you watch the instrument choice that's used by people who make beats or, you know, back when composing was a thing during Renaissance era and stuff, like certain instruments was used to present certain moods.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the beauty of music. It's like it'll make you feel something even when you're not trying to feel something. You might
Yes.
not even fully indulge in what you're feeling at the moment you hear it. But when you hear a certain lyric or you like hear a certain chord, it'll strike you.
It does. It does.
Mm.
It's neat that music has that power in a way that other arts don't quite have as much. That even if you don't want to feel something, you're gonna feel something. Music
Yeah.
is so close to the core of us somehow, or the fundamental nature of existence somehow. And
You want to know
yeah,
something? I feel the same
mm,
thing about poetry.
I
I
do
feel like
too.
if you read a poem, it'll make you like if you can relate to that poem, you'll feel what that person is saying if you can relate to it.
There's a
Because
way.
like yeah,
Yeah, there's a
in
way that
all forms
poetry and
of art.
music can say what you can't say with words alone.
Mm-hmm.
With music, you're getting tonality, you're getting emotional expression from the instruments, you're feeling the timbre of the person's voice, the words. There's so much going into it, but it's definitely like this huge emotional experience. With poetry, there's a little bit more responsibility on the reader, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit more dependent on the reader to tap into it. Um, but if you do, then there's something that can be said that's beyond the words. Even in poetry, it's like you're saying a lot of things to point at something that words alone can't quite say, but in the
Mm-hmm.
way that you pattern those words together, it actually can point.
Yeah,
And
like
I love that.
there's no
Yeah.
question in comprehending. Like if a poet is a poet and not
Mhm.
just a writer, because I definitely believe there's a difference between a writer and a poet.
There is. Yeah.
Most people can write, but a poet can have you feel what they're saying. They can have you conveying what they want you to feel with their words. Because as you mentioned, it's the perfect conjunction of words together to simplify a specific emotion. And this
Hmm.
goes back to the question that you geared a few minutes ago in regards to my creative processes, excuse me. When I'm writing, if I'm not, if you don't feel it, I'm not gonna release it.
Mm.
Like everything I write and everything I release, I want you to feel it. So it's like when I'm on my Instagram and I'm putting my little snippets, my little reels of like quotes from my poems, I want you to feel that.
Yeah.
And it's like it might just relate to something that you're feeling and it might seem small, but I just want my experiences to help others in their own experiences.
Love that, brother. Yeah, man. Me too. I really do. Um, I
Because
think
not
that's
every,
part of the
like we
drive of the
said,
artist is you want to speak to things that can't be said any other way, but
you want
through
to
the
speak for
art.
those that who can't speak.
And for those who can't speak, yes, yes, and those things that are left unsaid.
Yeah.
And
And it's not even in the
yeah,
literal sense of, oh my God, this person can't talk. But everyone cannot express their emotions or convey their emotions in a, manner that can be reciprocated or understood by others.
mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
it's like for those who can express themselves with their words, but this is how they feel, show them a poem I wrote. That's why I do it,
Yeah,
ultimately. Like, yeah, to release for me, I get to express myself, I get to share my thoughts. But ultimately, it's for those who want to do that but can't. It's
yeah,
bigger than me.
yeah, yeah. Because you get that feeling. You want to inspire people. You want to be able to say those things that you can't say in normal, commonplace conversation. You want to strike at those deeper truths that only art can convey and share them with people because they've been a gift for you. For me personally, I feel this as an artist, like this life has been such a gift, and other artists' offerings have been such a gift to experience, and they've helped me grow and become who I am. And so it's like this deep honor to be able to give other people permission to do that through art and to, like you said, speak for what isn't being spoken, to say the things that can't be said any other way. And that helps imbue life with so much meaning. Um, and it's how we change the world. I think the artists are at the forefront of that game, even more so than politicians.
Mm-hmm.
Politicians got to use artists even when they go up on stage. They got music playing behind them to try and grab and get the people's attention and get them to like them. And even
It's
commercials are
definitely
using
not the
art.
same.
Everything has got to like borrow from art to try and be relevant. And so I think the way that we can change the world most effectively and rapidly is through art. That's how we transform culture and transform ourselves in this world most radically. It seems it's politics doesn't come close. The media can't even come close to it. Our
Yeah.
art is
It's like all
unstoppable.
expressions of art is like art will express what you can't when you can't.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel you can't say it, there's something out there to say it for you. Like you said, whether it's a political cartoon, uh,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's music, a painting, a comic, um,
Yeah.
art will always find a way to make you feel heard.
Yes. Yes. And to say those things that just can't be said any other way.
Definitely.
Yeah. It's a deeper form of communication that humans have developed. And that's really exciting to me because it tells us that we're a lot further along than we give ourselves credit for. Like we're already at the point to where we're writing poems and making music as a species. That's a good sign that we're going in a really
Definitely.
beautiful direction. And
And it's
yeah,
only an upward trajectory.
yeah, yeah. And we're so hard on ourselves as humans, and we forget that we're like in the midst of this story. We're still in the
Mm-hmm.
midst of this creation, and we get to take part in it. It's like this co-creative venture that we get to take part in with that great mystery, with God, with the generative, omnipresent, divine miracle that we find ourselves living in, living through, living as. Art is like a deeper form of conversation, and we're still in the midst of this story, this co-creative dance that we get to partake in. And art allows us a beautiful reminder of what we truly are, which is a mystery.
Yeah.
It's unspeakable. And it's something that we get to continue to explore and convey and share and realize throughout our lives and throughout all the humans that will come after us and all other life out there in the universe. It's we'll never be done telling
Mm-hmm.
this story until maybe we
Yeah.
are. I don't know, maybe 5 trillion years from now. Chapter one
You
is over.
know, we'll be the next dinosaurs. We'll be the fossilized ones at
Very
that point.
possible, man. Very possible.
Yeah, my brain doesn't even think that far. Like in
Yeah,
regards to trillions of years, like,
it's
but that's the thing too. You want to leave a legacy where when you can leave something here that stands the test of time.
mm-hmm. I like
Like,
what
what
my
it,
friend, drummer in my band, American Dharma. says that he wants humans to do so good that we are like the substrate that other beings can live off of in the future. Like we're living off of coal from ancient primordial plants and dinosaurs from eons ago. You know, all this oil and coal that has given us this technological capacity to explore the stars now. He's like, I want humans to be so successful that we are that fodder for the next thing that comes after us. It's like, I like that idea. And I like the idea of us getting to make it out into space and get to
Yeah,
explore and be stewards of life elsewhere.
I would definitely like to see what it's like outside of here. If I survive, of course.
Yeah, right. Oh man, wouldn't it be cool? Well, I
I need to
interviewed
check the survival rate first
yeah, right.
after a few other people test it.
Yeah. I interviewed Juliana Garces, who's a visionary artist as well on this channel. And she talks about lucid dreaming, and she's gone traveling to all kinds of places. She's gone through space, and she's gone to meet like high level beings like Buddha and have conversations with them. So if you learn the art of astral travel, or at least lucid dreaming, maybe those explorations are possible in some way during this lifetime.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. I feel like we can attain anything we want to. We just got to chase it. It's
That's true.
there. We just got to figure out how to get there.
It's wild that humans are actually capable of that. Like anything we can think of, we've actually made possible in
Yeah.
some way, shape, or form. Like even pink flying elephants, we can computer generate now. So
Yeah, exactly.
and you know,
Or like,
maybe you know, another 500 years from now, we'll actually have genetically modified pink flying elephants.
or maybe pigs flying, because when pigs fly has been around for the longest.
It's a beautiful song by Pink Floyd. Oh, what's the name of that song? I'm forgetting it, but that's part of the song. Yeah, so that unspeakable mystery that art allows us to continually express and help plug people back into, man, that's the part of art that I think I enjoy the most,
Hmm.
is that it becomes a gift, and it can be enacted as a service. It can help ourselves grow and heal and purge. You know, you take the shit of life and you turn it into something beautiful. Um, but it helps others to do that too, like you were saying earlier, and it speaks for other people. And that's what a priceless gift it is to be able to employ art in this world.
Yeah, personally, I would say the most satisfying part of creating is inspiring and touching others.
Yeah.
Because like you create and you can feel what you're saying. You know you're good at what you do. You know what you were trying to convey. But when you can connect with others, even others that like you don't know at all, that's one of the best feelings ever. Because like, wow, somebody can relate to this. And not just that, but I'm helping someone else.
Yes. Yes. And yeah, there's something about that, man. Like the life of the starving artist is a very rich life. It's full of such uplifting experiences, and that that sharing with others, those things that can't be said under any other way. It's also this very intimate thing that you're able to do that for even complete strangers. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a profound thing. What a gift.
Yeah,
Um,
and like it's something that
yeah,
not everyone is gifted with.
no,
So it's like when you utilize it and you know you have that gift and you know that you're helping others, it doesn't get more satisfying than that.
it doesn't. It doesn't. And I feel like even though a lot of people aren't artists, that human beings are innately artistic and creative. Our style of speech, our style of dress, how we organize our homes, our very ways of life are creative, you know.
Yeah.
And it's something that I think we can help encourage in other people, like, you know, tap into your art, find some way of expression that and continually challenge yourself, and you know, pick up a guitar or get into gardening or painting or whatever it is. But there's so many forms of creative expression, and it's like we're only half a human without that creative outlet, without that creative side. You feel more whole and connected with reality and with other people when you learn to communicate through the arts consciously, utilizing art as a form of communication. And it's a
Yeah,
wider form of
definitely.
communication. Yeah, because you can talk to strangers, you can talk to anybody, and then you get that amazing feeling. I mean, what a great give back that you
Hmm.
get for it too. I mean, I can sing music on a stage, and it's not 200 people or 500 people or 5,000 people. It could be like 15 people in the bar at that time, but it's amazing. It's the greatest feeling in the world. It doesn't matter how many people you touch. If there's one person that you touch in that crowd, it's worth it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if it's 15, 50, or
But
whatever
they'll
at this
take the
particular
message
show.
that they felt and share it with others.
Yes.
And that goes beyond you just helping one person. It's like your message is being spreaded, but it's a
Yeah.
positive message being spreaded.
It's constructive. Yeah.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
like you could put anything out there. Art, I
Right.
feel like life itself is art.
It
So it's like
is.
you could put
Yeah.
anything out there,
Life can be
but
an
it's
art. Yeah.
exactly life itself is art. Everything around us is art.
I forget who said that, but make your life an art. I love
I
that
definitely
idea.
don't know the
Yeah.
quote,
Yeah. I'm
but it's
sure
a
it's been
good
said
one.
many times in many ways, but create of your life a living art. Yeah. Yeah. That's a way. That's a real way to discover who we are, to understand the world, and to impact it positively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, they
Yeah.
talk about leaving a carbon footprint. It's more like in the realm of art, leaving a positive footprint.
Yeah.
Because you'll
Yeah.
be
It's
remembered for whatever you release, regardless. So why
right.
not make it something worth memorable?
Really.
Why be remembered for that hateful person, being that
Yeah.
hateful person?
Yeah.
Like we're so much more than that.
Right. It's like an offering, it's an offering to the world. And it's not a hiding from the world, and it's not a rejection of the world. It really is like a diving into existence as deeply as one can, to bring back something that hasn't been said before, or to speak to something that can't be said any other way but through art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not more. I used to have this thing of, I want to say something that's never been said before, but if I'm being honest, it's 2022. We've heard most things already.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah. It's
I, I
just, it's
don't,
more like saying things a new way, because there's
yeah,
certain things that like only art can touch on, that are huge, and they can be really life changing, even just coming in from one angle and talking about whatever it is, hope or love or, you know, anything. It's like every artist has a unique vantage point on this depthless, this thing that has no depth. It's endlessly detailed and endlessly deep. Whatever that emotion, that truth of life is, it's like a billion artists could tap into that truth and speak it from their voices through their
mhm,
pens, and there'll still be infinite room left for everyone else to say something about it, because it's just depthless. So there's like this infinite room, like even if it has been talked about 2,000 times, like, how many love songs are there in the world, but they're always conveying something new about love in a new way, because
yeah.
it's someone else's unique expression of it.
That's what makes us all different.
Yeah.
Ultimately,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like
So
I
it's hard
said
to
it
see
in
something entirely new. Every once in a while you might be able to, but we're
yeah.
typically recapitulating things and trying to build upon them as
It's
humans.
like you could only see the so many images out of the same window as somebody else.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we look out the window, we get different views, but that same like area of where those views are being watched and monitored
Hmm.
is not that much different. So it's like you said, your own unique expression of how you want to convey something.
Hmm. That's where the infinite potential for complexity seems to come from. It's through our own conveyance of it. It could just be a tree, but every artist is going to paint it in a slightly different way, and it's going to give you a new angle on what a tree actually is, which is,
Exactly. Like they
I,
might use a different shade of green for the leaves or a different shade
mhm.
of brown for the
Yeah,
oaks.
their
Like you never
shading
know.
strokes are going to be slightly different than the other person, but it gives you this greater, more holistic view. It's like all those definitions, all those descriptive strokes all become a story of what trees are to humanity. And that's something that will never be done telling. Every
Yeah.
tree is different. Every person's experience of a tree is different. The way that they see that tree is different. So it's like we're constantly widening our awareness, our breadth of consideration and comprehension. The more that we take in,
Yeah.
more art and expression of those around us, and the more that we engage in it too.
It's like the longer we're here, the more that we learn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the more we learn, the more we grow. Yeah. Did you have anything that you'd like to share today? Do you have any pieces you'd like to bring up?
Yes, now that you mention it, I will, because I shared a poem last time, and that poem that I shared is actually going to be in what I'm about to announce, which
Oh
is
yeah.
my second book.
Oh,
Yes,
right on, dude. Congrats, man.
thank you. Yes, this is my first public formal announcement. The title of the book is going to be Jim V2, so it's just like the first one,
All
but
right.
it's version 2. It's going to have brand new poems on, different things that I haven't touched on, but it'll also have second versions of poems that I've released in my first book.
Cool.
So like it'll be the same title, but it'll just have a V2 next to it.
Right.
And it'll like convey a different emotion off that said word. Because my writing style hasn't changed. I still, make the last word the title and go that whole poem of saying that, using that said word, but not describing that said word, but not using that said word. So I still
Mm,
follow the same writing style, but
mm.
there's a few poems where I wrote them and I was like, I want another crack at this
Right. Yeah, I know what you
because
mean.
I feel like I didn't convey enough in the first version. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that'll be out um early this year, I want to say. I don't want to put too big of a time frame on it, but
Will that be up on Amazon?
yes, it'll be on Amazon. My first book, Jim, it's not V1, it's just Jim, is currently on Amazon. That's J.I.M, Journeys in Mind. I have the link in my
So is
Instagram
it J
bio.
period, I period, M period?
Exactly, yes.
Okay, so yeah, Jim, which stands for Journeys in Mind.
Exactly. It's an orange cover, you can't miss
Right on,
it.
dude. Right on. And is
I'm
this
not gonna say much
self-published?
about the second cover, but
Okay.
you'll see it sooner than later.
Cool, man. Cool, man. And now is this self-published or is this something that you put out through somebody?
I'm probably gonna use the same publishing company I used the first time. It was
Okay.
self-publishing then, so I am looking at other options. Honestly,
Mm-hmm.
the book has been done. It's actually been done since the first book, if
Right.
I'm being honest. But I made some tweaks and took some poems out and added some poems in. So
Nice, nice.
yeah, I'm probably gonna follow the same procedure in regards to publishing it.
Okay.
So
And what was
I'm
that site that you said it was?
Publish Nation. I published my first book through Publish Nation.
Publish Nation. Okay.
I believe they're located in North Carolina or South Carolina. I'm not mistaken. I can send you the details after this if you're
Yeah, yeah,
interested.
do that. Do that. Yeah. And for people listening, check them out if you're looking at publishing something. That might be a way
Exactly.
of
There
getting
could
your
be
stuff
people
out
out there
there.
who's waiting to publish and they didn't know how. So
Yeah,
yes,
right, dude.
that
I
will be
waited my
given to your help.
whole life. I didn't ever feel my poetry was good enough that I wanted it to be released to the public, but I would share it. And so I'm happy with where the poetry is now. And so I finally came up with the courage to share something with friends and family and to put together my first chat book. Yeah, thanks to you, brother, for
Don't thank me. I'm just serving my purpose that I was put here for.
yeah, yeah, no, it's good. It's good. It's good to have friends who remind us, and the going out and doing it yourself and showing that it can be done is big encouragement. You trick yourself into thinking that it's something too difficult or it's just going to be a waste of time or this or that. So whenever I see someone else doing it,
You know it's possible.
yeah, it's friggin' encouraging. Yeah, it's possible, and it kind of buoys me. This is what I came up with while that shows up.
I
What
like that
better
cover.
place? You know, it's got like pictures and whatnot.
It looks like your Instagram feed, because your Instagram
It
feed always
is.
has
So
amazing
basically, when I
photography.
started sharing my poetry on Instagram was when I finally felt like comfortable enough with to share it with the public. And I like that you can share, you know, photos and things like that. It's very much a visual thing, but poetry fits so well with it. And so I found, okay, this is a comfortable place to share poetry and test it out and see what people think. And yeah, it's just kind of grown from there. But yeah, I'd love to hear. I'd love to hear something of yours.
All right. Do you want to hear like a V2 of something that's in the first book, or do you want something that's like completely different and original and new?
Ooh, that's up to you, man. Well, let's do one of each. Let's do something from the V2 and then let's do something totally new.
I like that. Okay. So I'll do a V2 first.
Right on.
V2, I haven't said it formally, but a V2 is version 2.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what the V2 stands for. Gem V2 is Gem version 2 of the first book I wrote. In my first book, I had a poem called Fear. So in my second book, I have a poem called Fear V2.
Mm-hmm.
And I will share that with you first, if you don't mind.
Let's do it.
And then, you know, it's funny, we kind of covered this in our conversation. And, you know, there's another, you know, because this is not the first time it's happened. You actually share one of each. There's moments in our conversation that covers scopes of a poem that I've written. So I'm going to share those.
Mm,
Yeah. So Fear V2 will be first. And then I will share Reality after. I wrote a poem called Reality.
cool. Nice.
One thing where I think we could all agree is being scared of leaving this earth before leaving our legacy,
Mm,
or rushing everything and losing patience. And my best friend is becoming complacent. Going in too deep and I drown, or existing in a lifetime where the ones I'm closest with doesn't exist, where my knowledge is gone and I'm no longer smart, or being the reason of a woman's broken heart. Living in a lifetime where I'm oppressed by the system, where society wants to destroy my wisdom, becoming common when I used to be rare. You see the world differently when you're rare. Never moving on from my trauma and losing the ability to read an aura. Caving to the darkness and destroying my path, or not knowing how to feel happy and only feeling sad. Being on projects and not knowing how to work on teams, and to feel like I'm living in a broken dream. Never completely finding myself and always lost, or investing my all in getting double crossed. Losing my appreciation for music, or losing the ability to love, which makes me human. Being a man and not being able to provide, no longer using my ability to analyze and enhanced ability to think. What would happen if my pen runs out of ink? Where the ears are open but no one is listening to words when I talk, or if four footsteps turn to two when I walk.
mm.
Don't even want to think about what would happen if I lost my chef's touch, or putting myself in a situation where my life is in the hands of a judge. Not knowing forgiveness and holding on to a grudge, or not being there when they need me most and being clutch. Me knowing I'm the reason behind the tears. These are just some of my biggest fears. So
Shoo,
that's Fear
that's
V2.
good.
Yeah.
That's relatable, man. That's so
Thank you.
relatable. I
So
like the
like
honesty
yeah,
of it.
think, like I told you earlier, man, if I'm not putting my all into it, I don't want to release it. I don't want to share it.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. And what
I think
makes
that's
that
what held
fear
me back
different
was I was always trying to create something special instead of just letting the specialness come through on its own. Celebrate the specialness that's already here.
when
The
it's
honesty,
more
the
often than
truth of
not,
whatever.
we're in our own way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's even if it's sad, man, the honesty is real.
The vulnerability is
Recognizing our
important.
regret, you know. I like that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, yeah, bro.
Do you want to hear my second one?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, this is called reality. We were having a conversation earlier about reality, so I just felt that it was appropriate to share.
Sweet, right on.
Right. When it's yourself that you believe, you realize the situation is good or bad based on how you perceive it. Finally, a scene once the joy is stole, that your happiness is something that you control. And while in solitude, you go through that recovery, it's yourself you find on that road of rediscovery. Because this is really shaped by your choices. When you trust the sound of your own voices, your perception of this is what keeps you. This becomes easier the more you live in your truth. The more you accept it, you live life more comfortable. Knowing this, you'll make life more memorable.
Hmm.
When you accept this, life won't seem so miserable. You'll be able to accept this when it's yourself you're vulnerable. Accepting this, you begin to make the profit into yourself and you learn to be honest. You see the trees and see the forest. This isn't so bad when your intentions are the purest. It's no longer to a point where this is where you want to escape because this is what you create. When your heart and mind is aligned, you can move straight. Facing this makes your garden the only thing you want to hydrate. Knowing this makes it easier to separate fact from fiction. Living this gives you the real 2020 vision.
Hmm.
Just because you accept it doesn't mean you won't encounter crisis. Because accepting this does come with sacrifices, like being forced to make harsh decisions where you can never get comfortable in one position. At the point where I'm the sand on my own beach, life is a little easier when you accept reality.
Ha ha ha. That's awesome. That's dude, that like summed up so much of what I was trying to express and earlier, and that's very much summing up a lot of our conversation. I love the invitation to rediscovery that you embed in that poem, the encouragement to live in truth,
Yeah,
our
because
honesty,
I feel like,
revealing like the trees and the forest at once. I like that
yeah,
too. Yeah,
well,
yeah.
thank you. More often than not, I feel like reality itself is what we create of it. And
Hmm.
it's like when you create your reality, just live in it. Your
Yeah,
reality might not make sense to someone else, but that's not their reality. It's your reality. But
right.
when you accept reality for what it is, it'll ultimately make your life easy too. And that's what I
It
was aiming
does.
for with that.
Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, I like that. The real 2020 vision. You get that. But
Thank
like,
you.
I remember you said something about purity in there to achieve that 2020 vision. It's like giving our lives over in the service of a higher ideal that is even beyond our full conception, but this idea of love that all the great religions have taught us about loving our
Yeah,
neighbor, to share that with a pure heart and to like really dedicate oneself to it. You realize that the trees and the forest, you gain that 2020 vision. You gain a clarity and a mission and a place, like a sense of belonging and meaning. That's a
yeah.
real gift. That's a great poem, dude. And
Thank you.
it's funny because I was at like a poetry meeting a couple weeks back with some friends, and everyone was sharing their poetry, and there's older people and younger people there. And I noticed that so much poetry today is like very meditative and life affirming and speaking of reality in the way that you just did in that poem. There's something really heartening and encouraging about that. I'm happy to see that. It's like you can see the human species calibrating itself into
Like
like a higher
we're
mode of
figuring
being.
something out.
We're figuring
We're not
something out
figuring it
together
out,
now.
but we're figuring something out.
We're figuring something out. We are. It's like a way that we can live together because we're in this time of so much. It seems like a lot of social breakdown, but there's also so much intermeshing and intermingling of our cultures. And we're at this point now where we're really getting to know each other in depth and detail at much higher rates of speeds than ever before. It's not just like a book that comes from Europe or India or Asia. It's now the internet, and it's
Yeah,
global and it's immediate and
it's
it's
literally
high
at your
def.
fingertips.
It's really at everybody's fingertips. So we're getting to know each other's cultures at a much more rapid rate now. And there's so many ways that they complement one another when we find that all the great sages and wise people of our past have spoken of loving our neighbors and of living in service to something higher and greater than ourselves. That is like a key that we're all sharing now, and we're marking on it together and confirming each other's realizations and adding more depth and detail to that realization. So the breadth of that realization is growing. It's becoming accessible to more people because we figured out how to say it so many different ways together that it's like, I think that's what's happening, is that we are now at a place to where God is growing up with us. Our conception of God, let's say, is growing up. And we get to be a part of living a life of service and worship of life itself, of reality itself, and this great gift. And the opportunity to share that with people and to help show them there are opportunities to feel this for yourself. That's where it really gets good. So yeah, it's cool to see, like, a lot of people are starting to tap into this vein now in a new way that we haven't been able to before. And I'm excited to see what humanity does with this, because it's not as closed off. It's not as like, you got to be this, you got to be that. It's like recognizing, oh, you believe that way, and that complements what I grew up with and what I've learned as well. There's this larger truth that is being conveyed in multiple different religions and great mystery wisdom schools, basically, thousands of years back. They're all talking about the same thing that is beyond all encapsulation. We use the word God for it, and we use the word love for its unconditional nature and its super ultra creative nature. And we get to take part in it. It's awesome. It's a great ride. And I love that that you're inviting people into that place too.
Well, I'm going to be one of the first of many to thank you for giving me the platform to share that.
Absolutely, man. Yeah.
Kind of hard to encapsulate that into a reel.
Yeah. No, it is. Yeah, it really is. And it's going to probably be tricky to find the good spots to do reels out of. Podcast is a different game. And when you're talking about wisdom, philosophy, and art, yeah, there's ways that you can say things in 60 seconds. But I like that we get to have the long form conversation and really flesh it out. So if any successful reels come out of this, it's to invite people into the deeper conversation, the deeper dialogue, and the deeper understanding that can come through that. It's a hard thing to talk about. It's ineffable. It's almost unspeakable. So we can kind of dance around it. We can beat around this bush, and I can't say exactly what it is directly, but I can beat around it. And then we realize, then we recognize the orientation and the direction that we can kind of aim ourselves at.
It's like a charade.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's like we're doing shadow puppets of something real that none of us can see, but we can point to.
Yeah, we could definitely feel it.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, here, I'll share one with you.
Please do. This is my podcast now. Just kidding.
This complements well what you were saying. And the picture for this one is the picture for the cover. There's
sidewalk with some
the sidewalk, the shadows, and some leaves that have fallen. And there's one stem here and one stem up here. That one of them is going like this way, the other one's going like this way. So it creates like almost a spiral effect.
Yeah, anyways, like they come together essentially.
Yeah, it's just one of those moments. I just looked down and there was this beautiful pattern in the environment that had already been made. So I wrote, for those with eyes to see, the pattern lies infinite behind everything. If only I had known how to show this bliss before, though so often fleeting, it's always been here, waiting for acceptance, patient for communion, stirring as existence itself. It implores, even as it moves through you too, ancient and unknowable, waiting to emerge from every crack and fissure. Resistance has only ever increased my suffering. In pushing against it, it persists and magnifies itself, relentless. It matches my ability, yet keeps pace with all our promise, asking we accept all just as it is. Life, with all its contrast and glory, spread out here before us, innate and infinite, radiating evidence for the miraculous self-evidently. I just noticed another typo. I spelled radiating, Raditing. I missed an A.
We didn't.
I'll give you one more about it's one of my favorite older ones.
I
It's a
like
short
that.
one.
I didn't know you finished it. I'm sorry. That was good.
Yeah. Life with all its contrast and glory spread out here before us, innate and infinite, radiating evidence for the miraculous, self-evidently. It's literally just me remarking on the pattern that I had noticed in the sidewalk.
Mm-hmm. That's such a
But the patterns in
poetic way
life.
to describe it, though.
Yeah, and the patterns in life that we can notice, they're everywhere, and they're waiting here to be accepted. They're patient for our communion, stirring as existence. And it's ancient and unknowable, yet it's waiting to emerge from every crack and fissure. And then I talk about resistance. It's only ever increased my suffering, and pushing against it, it persists and magnifies itself, relentless. You know, like the more you resent something or push against something or resist it, it grows, and it like matches your persistence to push against it.
That's just the laws of nature.
Yeah, you know,
It's such a
it
paradox.
matches, yet keeps pace with all our promise, asking we accept all just as it is, like it's got this deep wisdom, this lesson beneath it for us. So where is that poem? This one is called Trees Song, and you've probably seen this one before. I've posted this one a few times on my Instagram with different trees.
I like the format of your book, by the way.
Thanks, dude. Yeah. I still need to do some more work on it. It's not done, and I need to expand it. But I'm thinking of doing like fall and winter, and then I'll go on and do spring and summer, and it'll just keep on going until I catch up with where we're at today.
4 seasons.
Yeah,
It could be like Vivaldi.
there you go. So this one is called Trees Song. We were talking about trees.
What's
May
the
we
time?
listen. What's that?
The time is less than a minute.
Oh crap. Okay, so let's say less than 1 minute. Let's go ahead and take a quick break, and then we'll share a few poems and probably wind it down if you think you got another 30 minutes or so.
Yeah, sounds good.
Awesome, cool. Well, everybody, go ahead and take a quick break. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. So yeah, we were just in the middle of sharing poetry, and maybe we'll share some more after this one. This one I was about to share before the break is called Trees Songs. May we listen to Trees' song of transmuted water and light, of cloud drops drank by heavy faces, hugging rivers and streams, and smiling around lakes and vast reflective spaces. When the frost sets in and geese climb the sky back south, and moss no longer covers the toes of wood-footed forests, Trees' song composes itself, though this is, of course, how all songs must be composed. It's like they write themselves.
The way you describe tree roots as wooden feet.
Isn't that, I don't know how that came to me, man. I always thought when I would hear other poets use really powerful metaphors like that, hasn't always been my strong suit. So whenever I find one, it's yeah.
You stick with it. That's
Yeah,
what all
sure.
metaphors though. It's like when a metaphor is there, you gotta run with it. Because if you don't, it'll disappear.
Yeah, trying to see like what are clouds and what are trees. So it's like trees are like transmuted water and light.
Mhm.
formed into a tree, of cloud drops drank by heavy faces, hugging rivers and streams. Yeah, moss
You
no
said your
longer
book is
covers
coming
the
out this
toes.
year, right?
What's that?
You said you're going to release that book this year,
I
right?
think so. Yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah, we
I got
need.
all year to do it, man. I think I can pull it off. Yep,
The
I'm gonna
year just
sharpen up a
started.
few things, and then I'm gonna add another 30 something poems to it, so it's like an official chat book length.
Hmm. Yeah, it's my third day out here. I don't know. That's the it's January 3rd. You got
Yeah, yeah, I got
362
time.
days left.
I think I can pull it off, man.
I'm rooting for you.
I really just had to motivate myself um to do it, and that's I love the creative part,
Hmm.
but the actual production and the marketing side of things is something that you really have to warm yourself up to as an artist sometimes. I know it's been like that for me, but like I
Yeah,
was saying earlier, like seeing other people out there doing it, friends of
we
mine,
got to get out of our
seeing,
own way.
seeing you do it, is super encouraging. And yeah, we really do. We got to get out of our own way, man. You just got to get into the process of doing. You just got to start doing it. So
Yeah.
I took like the motivation for getting this together was like I want to come up with a good present for like friends and family this year. Um,
And a good present for yourself.
and yeah, and it did become that because it was a way to force myself, because for other people I'm like, okay, I'm motivated to do this now. Just for myself, I'm not as motivated. So there's something there though, isn't there? Like we got to love ourselves as much as
Hmm.
we intend to love the world and those around us, and that's something that we can really easily forget. So that
It always
commitment.
starts with us.
What's
Everything
that?
starts with us. Change
Yes.
starts with us.
Yes.
Love starts with us. Everything
Yes.
starts with us. If it doesn't start from us to us, then we have no right to show that to the world. If we can't show that to ourselves, why are we showing that to the world?
No, yeah, because it's kind of broken and it's not fully formed, and so you're not given the best love that you could give until you learn to love yourself as well and to
Yeah.
take care of yourself. So this has been a long life process for me, man, of learning how to do that, you
Hmm.
know, and
But it's like
and
when we learn and we get to share that and help others,
mm,
the intent and the goal is to help them where it doesn't take them as long as it took us.
that is the hope, man. That is it. That's 100% it right there. You nailed it. Like
It's like
I
if
want to
you could
help
save
people
yourself
skip
some time I
steps
couldn't save.
that I
If
took.
you
Took
could,
me a long
yeah.
time to get here. Yeah, I want people to be able to skip steps, get to where I'm at,
Hmm.
20 years before me.
Yeah,
That's
like it's
that's awesome.
possible. Just know
It
that
is
it's
possible.
possible.
That's how people do it. People that are younger that do amazing things, it's because there's someone around them that's encouraged and inspired them and helped them pave that way
If
and
you
see that it
think
can be
about
done.
it, we're literally the existence of someone's hopes.
Mm,
It's like if someone looks to get through something, or there's just something that they just have trouble conquering, but then they encounter you and you can share your story of how you conquered it. Um, you could be that ray of hope that someone was looking for and you don't even know it. That's why, you gotta
it's
be careful
beautiful.
with your interactions and, just be cautious of how you talk to people and stuff because you never know how much you can help them.
Really.
Not just that, you don't know how much they can help you too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's reciprocal in that way. I like that. That's built in, that there's like a self-healing that happens when we help others. And in turn, when we're helping ourselves live up to our true potentials and taking better care of our body temples,
Hmm.
we become more effective at sharing that with others as well.
Yeah, it's weird because I feel like sometimes, life shows us like karmic lessons and stuff through our
Mm,
relationships and through people we meet.
big time.
And sometimes we meet the shadow versions of ourselves,
Hmm.
the person we used to be
Yep.
or the person that we could become down the
Yeah.
road. And it's like, what are you going to do when you encounter that potential version of yourself, whether it's a past or a future version?
Yeah,
Life is so complex.
it is, man. It's the ultimate training ground for our souls, for spirit to perfect itself through.
Yeah.
Yeah, to learn how to love every moment and everything without an expectation.
Hmm.
Um,
It's not an easy
just
practice.
just unconditionally be loving, it seems like a very powerful way to orient to the world. It doesn't mean that you don't have self standards or that you don't believe that people can do better than they can, but we have an openness to reality, and we come from a place of spirit that allows us to inspire that natural conveyance of what matters most, which is to be here for one another, to help each other grow together and further this thing that we call life, and the
Hmm.
best aspects of it. Sometimes it's just word salad, and I hope that it makes sense when it comes out at the end.
Yeah, no.
But I think you know
Honestly,
what
as
I
long as
mean,
it makes the most sense when it touches right here.
right?
That's when you know it makes sense.
Yeah,
Because comprehending is one thing, understanding is another thing, but feeling
right.
it is a completely different thing. Because you
It's like a
can't
whole body.
deny what you feel.
No,
Like when you feel something, when your emotions are involved in something, it is very hard to deny it.
yeah, it's
Because it's like
true.
a different aspect of you is invested. A thought
Yeah,
can be fleeting. A thought can just pass.
yeah,
But your feelings and your emotions is like something that's complete. That's why it's so dangerous.
hmm.
Emotions are a dangerous thing. Um,
Powerful. Yeah,
it's dangerous in the sense of what you can do with them, but
hmm.
also dangerous in the sense of how you can hurt yourself with them.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. That emotional turmoil can take us over.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it's like it's almost in the snap of a finger.
yeah,
That's why
yeah.
like controlling your emotions are important, and being emotionally intelligent is important too.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing yourself, knowing your triggers, knowing what gets you off, you know, just a little bit. Like just knowing yourself, it's
Yeah,
so
you can't do that
important.
without humility, can you?
Mm-mm.
Like, we've
And
got to have
you got to
some
be
humility.
human with yourself. Start with
Yeah,
you. If you
yeah.
can't be vulnerable with yourself, you
Mm,
can't be vulnerable to anyone else. But not just
right.
that, you can't expect anyone to be vulnerable with you either.
Yeah, if we can't be honest with ourselves. So if there's things that we're hiding from that we know deep down we need to be taken care of, but we're kind of pushing them back in our consciousness and avoiding them,
Yeah.
it's that's that same thing, man. Yeah, we've got to become aware, and practices such as meditation, prayer, and art, which can be
Hmm.
done in a prayerful and in a meditative fashion, seems to help us get there. It
Yeah.
helps us, yeah. It helps us wrestle with those emotions and come to terms with them, recognize the inconsistencies within ourselves, and then the ones that we see in others that bother us. We recognize, oh, that's an aspect of myself that I'm probably still working on, or something that I used to exist through in the past that I still haven't come to full terms with because I'm still resisting it. I'm seeing it happen in someone else instead of just being understanding and recognizing, oh, I know where that comes from. I
Yeah.
understand that pain. I understand how that trauma can unravel and become an anxiety disorder or depression or this or that. And so, yeah, being able to speak through our emotions in a way that hits the heart, not just the mind, like you were saying, not just intellectually comprehensive, but can be felt. That bypasses all of that ego structure within us. It
Hmm.
gets straight to the heart and the soul and the body, and it's understandable instead of just intellectually available. It's like deeply understandable. Like in meditative terms, it's like knowing the experience of presence or stillness, that peace that monks talk about. Um, there's different kinds of knowing. There's experiential and there's intellectual. So you can intellectually understand that everything really is one in this universe, and that we're trading atoms with everything and everyone around us all the time. And even the atoms themselves aren't actually solid. They're more like pinpricks through the whole of time and space of matter that or of energy that is vibrating in such a way that it crystallizes into matter. I don't know how that works at all. I'm definitely not a physicist, but that everything really is one. You can understand intellectually, but you can also experience that. And artists play in that territory of helping evoke that experience of oneness in a multitude of different fashions. And you can indeed experience that meditatively and through prayer as well. And we've been perfecting methods of doing this for thousands of years, various practices that one must cultivate, like sitting in stillness and being aware of your thoughts and your perceptions, your ideas as they come up in your mind. So being aware of your mind and like kind of an objective, non-judging part of our awareness, the part of our awareness that's just basically recording all the time, kind of like a camera. It's just aware. Thoughts, emotions, sensations, ideas, everything appears to this. So you can notice when you get angry. What is it that notices? It's
when
our
you're
awareness,
hyperactive, though, it's
right?
so like
It's so much happening. It's hard to even know that there is a stillness behind all of that. And that's
like what
what
is stillness?
meditation and prayer too helps us, just practicing the art of being, and being in a way that is free of the need to follow the thoughts and the emotions. So it's kind of like you're sitting back and watching, learning to be that non-judgmental, the orientation of unconditionality that like Jesus taught so well. That's a really good way to orient yourself through meditation. In meditation is to just be, and self-judgmental thoughts come up, worries, concerns, all this kind of stuff comes up in our minds all the time. Notice it, watch it. You don't have to be pulled by it. You can just notice that there's a thought coming up in your awareness, and you can actually reside comfortably in the ground of that awareness that the ideas and the sensations appear to. Because if we notice the sense of just being and that stillness of just the most primary state of awareness, that the thoughts and emotions and perceptions are appearing up inside, you can sit in that ground of awareness as that ground of awareness. And there's a sense of merging with existence itself that happens the more that we do this, and a sense of oneness, that it becomes experiential, that becomes undeniable, because it's not just an intellectual exercise in the brain. Oh, how cool it is that everything fits together. No, it's actually, you feel it, you know it, you grok it like 100% through your body.
You accept it.
It's beyond acceptance even. It's just like apparent. It's like, oh my God, of course. How could I have forgotten? It's like almost the great cosmic joke becoming apparent to you, and like that people experience this as blissful because it's so freeing to realize, oh my gosh, of course, I'm a conglomeration of everything and everyone that came before me. And all of even the language that I used was people spending thousands of years on creating this language together. And the concepts that I have come from philosophers thousands of years ago, and the ways that we view the world. And I'm made of the same stuff that the tree beside me is made of, and I'm made of the sunlight. We're stardust. And that coalesced into this planet that has in aspects of this planet that have now come to life. So I like to think of that like we're extensions of this thing that keeps on extending itself out and just fractaling as it goes. And that can be experienced. So yeah, what a gift that we get to point to that with poetry, because that's like an invitation for all humans and all life, is to realize their inherent oneness with everything and everyone.
You're all one.
We truly are. Yeah. And it's still a mystery, even as you can have that experience. Like, it's really interesting how the awareness can bifurcate itself into multiple awarenesses. Like, that life ever became aware is really amazing, but that it exists as trillions of different species. Like, just on this planet alone, there's billions of different, probably billions of different kinds of animals, and trillions of them, especially when you count the insects. And
Yeah.
they're
Oh, don't
all
forget the
experience
insects.
awareness on different levels. And we as humans, like the most advanced aspect of this planet, are experiencing life. And yeah, I don't know exactly where I'm going with that. It's just a really fun territory to play in and to recognize, oh, this is what's happening. It's so easy to forget. And
Yeah,
it's
it
really,
just
it
adds
feels
up to the
good.
complexities of what life is.
Yes. Yes. To back up and recognize that inherent complexity and then the interconnectedness of that complexity. It's this one multifaceted thing that is infinitely producible. And it just keeps on recapitulating itself, but in new ways. It keeps reforming itself, reproducing itself in new ways, always, to experience life through all these multitude of perspectives. So it's yeah, it's just a wonder to me. And I love to be able to share that wonder. And that, yeah, and how music, art, poetry conveys it in ways that few things can.
Mm-hmm. And
It's
it's
just,
all one, like you said.
it's remarkable. Yeah, yeah. Do you have any other poems you'd like to share?
Um, I guess I could share one more.
Yeah,
I'm
let's hear one
doing
more.
different in this book, by the way. So my first book, like, I had a few poems that were like put next to each other based off a title or like having a similar type of subject.
Hmm.
But in this one, I'm actually doing my book in two parts. It's going to be Act One and Act Two. I'm not going to share the names of the acts. The two poems I've shared so far from Act One, but I'm going to share something from Act Two now.
All right.
Um, yeah, it's a different territory, but it's a cool territory. Again, I write it all the same and stuff. I just don't know which one I want to share right now. Matter of fact, I am going to share the last poem that I wrote for the book.
Right on. Cool.
I just finished it the end of November.
Okay.
It's called Photosynthesis.
Nice. Nice. On topic.
Yes, but this version of photosynthesis is very you'll see when it's finished. I'll put
Yeah.
it that
All
way.
right. Cool.
It's her light that helps me grow. Before my words are spoken, it's my thought she already knows. And that's part of the reason of my high intrigue. You drafted me, but I still feel like you're out of my league. Not my car, but it's my heart that you keyed. Not just my heart, but it's my soul that you feed. With you, my ego will never concede, because growth is not something you'd want to impede.
Hmm.
There's a reason it's I who feels spoiled, because you was there before I even touched the soil. Only there with purpose. You see me for who I am above and below the surface, as low as the water to my roots. Your support and nurturing nature are some of your key attributes, along with your ability to keep one's mental space clean. And just so you know, it's not because of your eyes that I feel seen, but it's also the challenge of me accepting a flag that's green. Your light is so bright, nothing can come in between. How often can you say every moment feels like that first scene? How often can you say you met someone who's the same behind and front of the screen? Not just my space that you bless. You bring air to the world with your process. It's not a question that you always deliver, and that is why you differ. Someone who shatters potential more than an asset, as you're someone who's essential. So ultimately, my point is this plant wouldn't grow without your photosynthesis.
Haha, that's awesome. So that could be a loved one. That could be
Yes.
for mother. That could be for a girlfriend. Who's inspired that poem? You don't have to say if
That's
you don't want to either. You can keep it the poet's mystery. We have that
I'll
right.
plead the fifth.
Yeah, I like that, man. And the way that we do
Protect her
sometimes with lyrics,
privacy.
we allow room for people to take their own interpretations because there's something that's being said that's deeper. It doesn't matter which person it is, it's what they're doing that's really special that you're
Yeah,
highlighting. It's
they're
their
helping you
actions, their
grow.
way of living that you're highlighting there. That's the real celebration.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's their way. That's awesome, man. That's beautiful.
thank
I
you.
like how you utilize photosynthesis because this person has helped you grow,
Mm,
you know, their
yeah.
light.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Just the whole
man.
process itself.
The what? Say again?
I said, this the process itself.
Yeah, yeah. Just the giving of it, just the nature of it, that intentionality of that person is what makes them special. And it's
Yeah,
helped what, yeah, and then they helped make you who you are,
yeah. They helped inspire
right?
it.
Yeah,
And then they
man.
helped
Yeah,
inspire it.
yeah. I like how just honest you are with your poetry. I think that's really important. Um, other poets and artists out there, like tell your whole truth as much as you can. That's
Yeah, I've always
yeah,
been
but
an
as much as you
honest
can,
person,
I mean,
honestly.
it's when they say when you're like writing a book, like be willing to write things that you'd even be afraid of sharing with your own friends. That's what some of our
Mhm.
greatest writers have done too, is like they're writing things for everybody, even people hundreds of years later. And
It's
it's
bearing your
beyond the
soul out
concern
there.
of what others in our immediate circles will think. Like we care what they feel. We want them to feel good, and we want them to grow as well. But it's like without that side of ourselves that is doubting, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
That self-doubting side, worried about what other people will think about us or something. No, forget about that part. Care about what they feel and come from your heart. Don't come from the brain's fears and all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Be outside
yeah,
of yourself. It's bigger than you. Everything's bigger than you.
it is. Yeah, that's the truth of it, man. It really is.
Thank you again for giving me the platform to share that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, yeah, I feel that. And I want other people to feel that too. And so I'm glad that you're sharing as you are tonight.
Why,
We'll have to
thank you.
definitely do more of these where we just sit down and like share poetry and talk about how the poem came to be, like um however much we wish to. And yeah, and
Yeah,
other
I
ways
like
of
these
inviting
follow up
people in. Like,
episodes.
what's
These
that?
follow up episodes are cool.
Say again?
I said these follow up episodes are cool.
Yeah, man. I need to start doing them more. Like I really do. It's uh it's just a cool way to talk. Like I really love podcasts that they give us this room to have long form conversations where we can delve into the deeper subjects of life that I think people are really hungry to talk about and hear about. These are conversations we used to have when we were young.
Yeah.
If we were together long enough, like having sleepovers or something, or hanging out with your friends, even when you got older as teenagers, and you get to these, sometimes you'd have these really deep conversations about life where you question everything together.
Hmm.
That's the good stuff, man. That's the really good stuff.
Because
And
like at the end of that
because you're trying to figure it out
conversation,
together.
yeah, at the end of that conversation, you're gonna be right where you started.
Yep.
What is it?
Yeah. Yeah. But with a shared appreciation for that wonder of what is it. And,
Yeah, it's good hearing
you
other
know,
perspectives.
yeah, we need it. We really do. Because it helps widen our own capacity for understanding and empathizing. I mean, being able to see from other people's points of view, being willing to put yourself in others' shoes so that you can do so,
Hmm.
literally widens one's awareness, one's consciousness becomes more considerate. And so widening the breadth of your perception, of your awareness of the world, that's nothing but a good thing. The more
Yeah.
considerate that we can be, the better we're going to be at solving the really hard problems that we face as a species. It's going to take a lot of us working together, and we're going to have to be able to see from many different perspectives. So yeah, encouraging and inviting that into our processes. that capacity, because humans have this. I follow this guy John Vervaeke, and you might have seen, like, I'm doing these weekly live streams now covering John Vervaeke's Awakening from the Meaning Crisis. He talks on this a lot, and he's helping us understand. He's trying to remarry science and spirituality, because they used to be married. They used to be close together and intertwined, like in ancient Greece and ancient India and elsewhere throughout the world. It was always like central, like alchemy and science and spiritual inquiry were all part of the same thing, and legitimating these experiences of oneness that people can have, that the arts speak to, that the great religions and wisdom traditions of our past speak to. It's like the great work of our times as humans.
Excuse my dog.
That's all right. I hear him. All good, man. It's life,
man. It's almost 2 hours.
He's trying to spit his own poetry, man.
He don't got nothing to say. He probably just want a treat.
This is a poem about how bad I want to treat, Daddy. Come on. Where's it at? I'm a hungry
Maybe when
little
it's
pup.
over.
Listen how I rough. My stomach makes me growl. Please don't make me growl. Give me a little
don't
treat.
Don't make me go bow wow.
Don't make me go bow wow. Like bow wow's like crying.
You know what's funny? He is a whiner though. I'm not gonna lie. He's doing like,
my cat used to do that when he was hungry too, and I'd imitate him. He'd put a little bit of whine into his meow, like meow, meow.
It's like, why are you so dramatic?
Meow. Like, no, come on, man. So I'd imitate him, and he'd just be like, oh. Don't imitate me, man. Just give me the damn food.
Animals have their own personalities?
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
like there's not one dog that's the same.
No, they actually have personalities. Yeah,
it's cool to watch.
Yeah, the smarter the mammals get, the more you see it, but you see it in little ones. You see it in squirrels all the way up to friggin' elephants. You see
intelligence is universal.
It is.
Common sense is not.
No. It's something we got to learn and share and cultivate together as well. Yeah. I'd love to be able to reach more and more people, and to share more and more artists and creators and authentic individuals like yourself with the world, because we are the media now. We are the media now. No, don't let it go to your head. Just continue being authentic and original and being you, because like every single time you see somebody do that, man, it's like, it could be Chris Farley, it could be Dave Chappelle, it could be Robin Williams, it could be whoever, right?
Robin Williams.
Man, what a great human being, dude. Like, there's
such a kind guy.
So many amazing examples of how to express yourself authentically and to celebrate uniqueness. And that bravery and courage indeed does instill courage in others to do so themselves. So yeah, I love the artists that are doing that, and they can even bring shy poets out of the woodwork. Art is here for us all.
Revive this dying art that is poetry.
Yeah, man, absolutely. We need a poetic renaissance.
Yeah.
I think that
it's time.
Any amount of poetry in the world is a good thing. The more is the better. And it's time, man. Yeah, absolutely. It's time for us to practice these arts of thoughtfulness and deeper consideration of the world around us, the universe, of God, of each other, of our relationship with the world and one another, and just art in general, for the sake of co-creation with reality, to be engaged in that game and say things that can't be said any other way.
Yeah.
It's a really cool hat to put on.
Like so much can be said with so little.
So much can be said with so little. Yeah, it really
can. Sometimes less is more.
Sometimes less is more, man. It's funny like that. It's amazing when great wisdom can be put very succinctly by people. To me, that always blows my mind.
It's all about the details.
It really is. It really is. It's really just about pointing at something effectively. you know, like in poetry, I remember one of the greatest teachers that I ever had, Professor Ralston out of Blue Ridge Community College, taught English and creative writing, and had a creative writing class with him one semester where there's only like a few people that signed up, and then only me and one other person actually showed up for class. And then after a month or two, even she dropped out. And so it's literally just him and I, and we would just talk poetry and share poetry every day. And he helped me a lot. One of the things that he talked about with poetry, and I remember Stephen King wrote on this in his book on writing as well, is that it's a lot of paring down only and leaving only what is essential. Like every word is essential. There's nothing extraneous in a poem. It's
No
all,
wasted space.
you know, there's no wasted space whatsoever. Every word is adding on to the word that came before and broadening the statement. Yeah. So it's really, and it's humbling too, because you can notice in yourself when you're being extraneous or excessive. And so as you're writing and you're paring it down, you're like, oh yeah, I see it. The message of the poem is starting to come through more clearly now when I get rid of the extra, you know.
Yeah, the filler.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes 3 words can be, you know, you're trying to say something, then
Profound.
you find, oh wait, if I just use this word, a new word comes to mind, and then a way of setting up that word, you're like, oh, I can rewrite this line now, and it's in a more concise, pointed way that conveys the meaning more powerfully. And he also taught that the end of a poem, you can tell a really good poem when it ends almost like a joke, like where it's like, ding, there's this thing at the end that surprises you and that brings it all together.
Or it makes
And
you question what you just read.
yes, yes, that really piques the curiosity, right? Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
the art. That's
There's like
when
a
the art of
punchline.
writing gets involved, though.
Yep. Yeah, if it gets you to wonder and think deep within, then it's doing its trick. It's
It
doing
served
what
its
it's
purpose.
supposed to do. With what?
It served its purpose.
It serves
The
its
line.
purpose. Yes. Sorry, these headphones suck.
It's okay. I'm pretty monotone when I speak also.
All good, man. All good. Well, this has been awesome, brother. It's been really good to
Yeah, I
catch up
definitely
and talk
enjoyed
with you
this.
more. I feel like we could talk for another 3 hours. It'd be easier if Zoom wasn't cutting us out every 40 minutes. And maybe once I get my thing published and we have more poetry to share, like I've got hundreds of friggin' poems from just the past few years that I've got to like pare down, and I got to like choose what are my favorites. And that's the process. That's why I'm forcing myself to turn them into books now. It's like, okay, which ones are really sticking with
Might
me
as
as I look at
well.
them, you know?
Don't sit on them.
Nah, man. Nah. Thank you for that. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for going out there and doing it yourself. And because it gives other people like myself impetus and a reminder that's like, oh yeah, you can do it too. You know, you can do it too.
I'm grateful for your platform. You're
Yeah, thank you.
inspiring more people than you know.
Oh yeah, man. I
Your
appreciate that.
dedication goes a long way.
I hope so. I hope so. I just like you, I want to invite people into this world where we're living our life in concert with reality, and we are caring caring for ourselves as much as we care for others, and that we're like following through on our interests, you know, because we're here to create. We're literally here to co-create with reality. And we all have so much more potential than we realize. And it's very rare that you see someone actually exercising their 100% potential. Those are the people that we call stars. We're not supposed to worship them, though. We're just recognizing that they're shining very bright. And that's something that we celebrate, because that, like, we like that feeling. We like to see when people do it, because we know it's something intrinsic to us all. And they're giving us a permission to be our whole true selves. And that's a beautiful thing to get to take part in. We're all co-creative. And
You want to know something? Now that you
hmm,
mention it, I wrote a poem. It's not going to be in the second book, but it's actually the first poem that I wrote last year. I didn't finish my first poem until like the end of February. It's called
hmm,
Supernova. You know
supernova.
how a supernova is like an explosion
Hmm.
of a star, essentially.
Hmm.
But yeah, it talks about how we as people are supernovas.
Ah, explosions out of time and space.
Yeah. I could share it if you want, since I brought it up.
Yeah, dude, share it. Share it. Let's hear it.
This is a sneak preview of the third book that I didn't even formally announce
Yes.
yet, so just now. But that has no coming soon date, so don't quote that. But I will share a
We'll
poem
look
from
forward
it.
to it.
It's called Supernova. As I just mentioned. Sorry. Yeah, I wrote this February 18th last year. No two shoes can fill where I stand, because there's so much to the making of this man. No one knows what it takes to get your star this bright. When your thoughts keep you up through the night, being by yourself, surviving those fights. When it all seems to be going left and not right. Those moments of silence is actually when I'm my loudest. And pulling myself up is when I'm the most proudest. The water keeps flowing whether you swim or drown. The hardest part isn't getting it, but maintaining your crown.
Hmm.
Those moments where you have to hold yourself down, or even when you have to pick yourself up from the ground. Only you can handle the curveballs that come from that mound. At some point, we all face the same type of adversity. You'll make it through as long as you move accordingly and conquer everything on your plate. It's your own sky you illuminate, because it's from yourself where you can't escape. More often than not, you have to tie your own cape, because
Hmm.
it's your own history you shape. Things aren't always how they appear. That's why it's always best to let the smoke clear and take some time to go under construction, because there's always something created after the destruction. The number one thing it's yourself you have to ask is what will show once I rise from this ash. What is it that people will see? Am I truly showing through all the debris? Shining bright even when the moment took over. There's always a reason behind every supernova.
Ah, like what drives us coming out of our shells? There's always a different reason.
Yeah. And do you show after that explosion? Or are you still covered by the debris,
Yeah. Are
aka
you hiding or are you
your
expressing
yeah,
wholly and openly?
exactly.
Yeah, because there's a freedom in that, man, when we come out into the world like that
Yeah.
and we begin to cultivate our expression of our authentic and whole true self. Best feeling in the world, man.
Yep.
Yeah. And we think we're protecting ourselves from something when we hide from the world.
Mm-hmm.
And
So we're actually hurting ourselves.
that's it. Yeah. Because fear, you don't have to hide from it. You got to face it. And then you can find a way to integrate what it has to teach you. And you can instill the courage within yourself through your heart. You know, our heartfulness is what helps us drive through, courageous straight into the facing of our fears, the absolving and the absolution of those fears, and then
Yeah.
the transformation, the transmutation of those worries, concerns, and fears into whole new truths and avenues for expression that help enrich lives around us. Name of the
Yeah.
game.
Definitely.
Yeah, man. I like that one a lot. There were several lines in there that stuck out to me, and I was trying to remember them, but I wanted to keep listening to the poem too. But you have
Mm-hmm.
some really wise moments in that poem that some very good guidance, and I like the way that it flows too.
Well, thank
Yeah,
you. I'm very appreciative.
yeah, brother. Yeah, it's cool how like you can tell these deep truths in ways that will pattern themselves together, that there's like almost always a rhyme that can be found or a cadence that can be utilized or a series of syllables and vowel sounds that sounds right and also conveys in a way that it's like the key is locking or
It's an
opening the
art.
lock. It's like the Zelda in Zelda, like the doodle doodle ding when you solve a
Mm-hmm.
puzzle, like you know, you just feel that chime, that connection, that click that happens,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah, and that really helps charge the meaning of it because it's like that in the way that's a
You can't
punchline to a
help but
joke.
miss it.
That's it. Yeah, you can't ignore it. It's just a unique series of events that leads up to a an insight that fits together, you know, in a really telling way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I appreciate your criticism.
Yeah, I appreciate you too, brother. Yeah, man. Keep on doing what you do. And everybody out there, go check out HBJ.007 on all the music platforms that you enjoy. It's out there on Spotify and YouTube and all the rest. So check it out. And also look for Heartbreak Jim and on social media. You can find him on Instagram and I'm not sure where else you might be running that. Twitter as well. That's right. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah, on Twitter as well. And also check out J.I.M. That's J.I.M. version 1 and 2 on Amazon and wherever you can find books to be sold. You got those out
Version
like
2
local.
coming later this year.
Version 2 is coming later this year. And but version 1 is out
Sooner than
there.
later, though.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I'll get mine out there too, guys. And I encourage you get your creativity out there. And yeah, find a poet that you like. There's one for everybody out there. In fact, there's probably
Definitely.
many, and all you have to do is explore and find them. Just like people that think that they don't like reading, they just haven't found the right book yet, and they're just not used to reading. That's all. Everyone can enjoy it.
There's
Yeah,
something out there for everybody.
yeah, because we all love wordplay. We love to hear it
Yeah.
on the streets. We love flow. We
It's
love hip
clever.
hop. We love lyrics and music. We love good lines in movies and, witty quips by comedians that we'll quote even because of the cleverness of them, of how the wordplay is utilized. So it's something that we actually do all intrinsically enjoy since we speak language and utilize it. And anytime anyone does something virtuosic with it, that's acrobatic or that's like deep and wise or thoughtful and considerate and telling and or speaks for you in some unique way, it's always a great boon to our lives. So it's an honor for us to be able to share poetry with you guys. But we survive off crumbs most of the time. So definitely go out there and support your local artists the same way that you support and uplift and uphold the big stars that you would enjoy and appreciate. Because we all have to start somewhere, and we're all really stars in our own right. I think the main goal is not the number of fans one accumulates or how much money one makes or any of that, but how impactful you are, even for one person, because we all have that gift to be deeply impactful for one another. And when you're doing that, you are literally lighting off sparks. You're lighting off a new candle that can go off and light another candle and light another candle. And if that is really your goal, then you're going to be lit up anytime that you share something from your heart. So I encourage you guys, let your authenticity out and definitely check out Elijah's work under Heartbreak Jim and HBJ007. His music is really good too. Like you guys gotta check it out. Like I think you really flourish as an artist in your music. Your poetry is on
Thank
point
you.
too. But I really like get a even deeper sense of how dedicated you are to your art. I'm like, oh man, this guy's for real. Like your stuff's good. Yeah, it deserves
I
to be heard by
appreciate it.
many thousands to millions of people. And so guys, check it out and make sure that you share, you like, and you subscribe. It helps us reach more people, all of that stuff. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been great to catch up with you, man. We'll have to
Thank
do
you
this
for
more
having me,
often.
and Happy New Year.
Yeah. Maybe we should try and do this like every 4 months or so instead of once a year or so. And we'll do it quarterly, like seasonally or something. We'll catch up with each other and, you know, you can give me the little push that I might need. I'll give you a little push if you need it. And we'll just, on getting our art out there, our poetry and all the things that we do out there. That's a really
Iron
great way to
sharpens
be there for
iron.
one another. But also like, I love just sharing poetry with you. So we'll have to do some more like even deeper poetry and music podcasts where we just talk about individual pieces and how they came to be and
Oh my
all of
gosh,
that.
yes, I would
Yeah.
totally like that. If you want, honestly, you could cut this out at the podcast if you want to,
Right.
but we could do a whole podcast just on my music alone. Like I have,
Dude.
if you go through the track list, I have certain tracks that have certain names and they sound the same, but they're different variations. Like another morning, I have another night and I have another afternoon.
Oh, yes. Yes, I'm so
Yeah.
behind, man. God. Okay, I got to catch up then.
Another night is on volume two. Another night afternoon is on
Oh,
volume
I did see
six.
Another Night, I think. Maybe I did see these. Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to remember what they sound like now, though. I'll have to listen back.
It's like 49 different sounds, so like it's
Oh,
okay to
yeah,
go
dude.
back to it. It's a lot to remember.
Yeah, man, that's a lot. You're prolific. It's a good thing, man.
That's a strong word. I appreciate it.
No, it just means that you're putting out a lot. You're putting out a lot of variety, man. That means you're deep in your artistic method and your practice.
Yeah, the burnout is almost over, so you'll be seeing me sooner than later.
Yeah, yeah. Writer's block can be beaten. It really
Hmm.
can. Yeah. Check out, remember that podcast that I shared with you? That guy had some really good insights into how to
Yeah.
like really juice up get the creative juices flowing you
Hmm.
and to work in concert with one's muse can
Yeah.
be done. Yeah, it's all mental. It's all a
Hmm.
game. Sometimes you just got to sit down and do it
Yeah.
too. Just be in the
You
habit
gotta
of
get it
doing
out the
it
way.
and
Get
not
it out your
expect
system.
greatness every time. It's okay if it's not great every time. It's just the habit of like getting into doing something creative on a regular
Ultimately, you put out
basis.
what you want to put out.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, the good stuff
Nobody
comes.
controls that but you.
Yeah, it's
And that's
funny
the
because it's
beauty of
like once I get
independence.
my psychology, like my ego, like sense of self out of the way, all the worries and the thoughts or the I want it to be great or any of that stuff out of the way. Once I get me out of the way, the poems can typically just write themselves, and I'm just
Always.
there to kind of facilitate. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and then I'll
Like
come
being a
back
host.
after the poem's done, and then I'll be, and then I'll do the editing that needs to be done if it needs to be done, and typically there's going to be something and to help pare it down and just get it into its most concentrated strong form and yeah, then you start the process again. You go out there like an explorer
Yeah.
and you find things that inspire you, and then you go into your creative mode where you just purely create and you don't be self-referential or self-judgmental during that part. You just do the thing, you just do the creative practice, and then when you're done you can be the judge. I like this approach, um,
Yeah.
because then you can really just get that concerned side of oneself, that self-judgmental side of oneself out of the way during the creative part. You can just get the creativity out because part of writer's block, I think, is like we want it to be great every time. We want it to be perfect every time, and so we have this heavy expectation that we're laying on
Mhm.
ourselves. And art is like a dance. It's just something that you do out of joy and truth and love and beauty and or just emotion itself. But it's always something true, and it wants to come out. So if we take the pressure off of ourselves and just create for creation's sake itself, um, with no self-judgment and no expectation of if it's going to turn out good or bad, just do it to create, then come in after and use the judging part of ourselves in a more fair way. Keep the judge out of the
Yeah.
way while you're creating, while you're writing that poem. Just write it, just let it come out, and then then you let the judge come and do his thing. So that's a good approach. I just basically repeated that 3 different ways 3 different times. I have a habit of
You
doing
want to know
that.
what I'm enjoying though about
Mm,
our conversation? A lot of the topics that we've covered and that you spoke on, I wrote about in my second book. So
that's it.
yeah, I feel like this is like you know what, and this is like my first formal announcement about my book's release. So listening to this is definitely a nice prelude to that. If you
Hell
enjoyed
yeah,
this
man.
podcast.
Yes, yes. Guys, definitely check it out, man. We had a lot of people listen to the last podcast. And
Grateful for all the listeners.
yeah. So if one of you guys out there goes out and checks out Journeys in Mind, J.I.M. Volume 1. If you check out Elijah's music, HBJ 007, Heartbreak Jim. Once again, Journeys in Mind, man, I think is a cool title. And I remember from the last podcast how you said that name just came to you out of nowhere. Man,
Yeah.
that's what happens.
Mhm.
That's what
That's
happens
how
when
you
we
know
open
it's bigger
ourselves
than
up.
you.
Yeah. Yeah. When there's something bigger than all of us operating through us, man, and you open to that, And you're like, okay, use me. I'll be your vessel. Let's do this. Let's co-create, man. It doesn't. It just takes you over, and like those kinds of things will just come to you sometimes. And it's all you got to do is honor it and put it out there.
Exactly.
Well, I love you, brother. It's been great to catch up, man. And
Love
we'll do
you,
this
bro.
again soon. And thank you all of you for listening. Talk to you
Thanks for giving
guys.
us your ears and your hearts.
Yes, that's it, man. 100%. All right, guys. Love y'all. Talk to you soon.